Hey guys, welcome into this segment from our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. In order to get the full podcast, go down to the description, go to Blog Talk Radio / The Onside Kick to download the full thing. Enjoy, everybody. We are actually going to move on, though, into our last topic, and we're going to stay in the AFC South, same division, and we're going to go over to Houston. And the Houston Texans have named Tom Savage their starter after benching Brock the Cock-a-doodle-doo last week when the team did beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Mark, I'll be frank, can Tom Savage help the Texans reach the playoffs?
I mean, help them. I mean, I guess he kind of has to, right?
Can they reach the playoffs with Tom Savage? Come on.
That question is no, in my eyes. I don't think that Tom Savage is going to be any part of if they could potentially make it to the playoffs. If they make it to the playoffs, it's this really, really good defense dragging their ass into the playoffs with a good run game helping out. The problem they have is they have a really hot team right now in Tennessee who has mostly gotten past the hard part of the schedule, and they're going to have a much easier route moving forward, one of those games being against Houston. And if they can kind of, get to the rookie, I know he's not actually a rookie, but basically he doesn't play, so he might as well be. Mm-hmm. If they can get to him at their home turf, if they can drive him wild, if they can make him make mistakes, they're going to do a great job. They're going to do a fantastic job. And they're a team that scores points, a lot of points. Mm-hmm. Tom Savage, I believe he's going to keep up with a more high-powered Tennessee offense. With that being said, Houston's defense is fucking good, so they can certainly stop Tennessee at the same time.
I'm going to say this kind of entire playoff race, remember when we talked about the AFC South, Mark, and I said, hey, you know what? This could easily come down to Week 17 when the Texans and the Titans play. Guess what's going to happen? This is coming down to next week. Yeah. Not this week, next week when those two teams play. And the most interesting part of all this, when they asked Brock the Cock about the benching, here's what he said. Have you heard what he said?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm going to read so everyone's on the same page. Here's what he said, and I quote, "As a competitor, anytime you don't play well and get pulled out of a game, of course there's disappointment. That's a natural human reaction. Also, there's disappointment because you want to be your best for your teammates. I love this football team. I love every single player in this locker room. You're disappointed because you feel like you let them down. You are happy because this football team found a way to win. Tom had a huge day. He's been a great friend, a great teammate. Tom stepped in, and he played a phenomenal game," end quote. You know what I thought after hearing that from Brock Osweiler?
What's that?
I'm still getting paid my $72 million, right? Yeah, go get him, Tom.
Well, he's got that 37 guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. It's basically, of course you're going to say that. You're making 37 guaranteed. Mm-hmm. You're still making the 72 over the contract. Sure, you want to sit me on the bench at 37 guaranteed? Go ahead. Yeah. I'm still making my money.
I think that, Brock Osweiler also needs to say this because there's a very real chance. I know a lot of people don't want to admit this. No, a lot of people don't want to admit there's a very real chance that he's going to start again for the Texans.
Okay.
Neither after the season, if he can go into training camp and win the job, because if Tom Savage is his competition, mm-hmm. he can win the job. He can win the starting job back.
Especially at the beginning of a year.
Exactly. And there's not really going to be any rookie that's going to compete with them. I mean, sure, they can try and make a splash with Tony Romo if he doesn't want to move that far or something like that. But to me, it's like, yeah, he can totally get the job next year. He can get the job next week. He can win the job back because Tom Savage has never been a successful quarterback. The man's never thrown a touchdown before. Mm-hmm. He certainly isn't expected to do that much. He doesn't have to do that much, but he's got to do something. And if he's not going to drive the team down the field, if he's not going to score touchdowns, if he's going to make mistakes, any little thing to mess it up. And I feel like the Texans are going to make a change again because they are so close to winning this division. They want to win it so badly. I easily could see something changing. The first second something doesn't go right.
I mean, for me, the thing is, for right now, Tom Savage is your guy. And by right now, I mean this week, because Bill O'Brien's a guy who, you don't make the playoffs this season, I wouldn't be surprised if Houston said, we had a debacle last year when we were the Hard Knocks team, and basically everyone saw our offseason, and then we finished the way we did with quarterbacks that we thought were going to do well and didn't. Then we're basically this year, we've had the division, and then we're going to lose it at the end. And the one thing that's funny that you think about, right now we don't know the Sunday night game for next week because of what the NFL always does. After this week, they'll look at the entire schedule and go, boom, this game is flexed.
Yeah.
This could be the flex game. It could be Titans-Texans Sunday night. Winner wins the AFC South. That could be the game. And for me, I think Tom Savage is your starter. If you win this next one and that sets up that, Tom Savage is your starter the rest of the way, because if he wins this next week, you're going to play him week 17. If he wins that game and you win the division, you can't go back to Brock for the playoffs, especially for a team who has never won a playoff game.
This is very much the hot hand situation. You ride whichever one is going to win. If Tom Savage starts looking bad, you kind of have to switch back to Brock Osweiler. If Tom Savage is doing well, you're not going to touch it. You're going to leave it. You're going to not change anything. This is a team that is honestly so desperate to get into the playoffs and then so desperate to win the playoff game that they get into. They will do anything, I think, at this opportunity.
And I'm going to correct myself. They do. They have 2 wins
because they beat the Bengals.
They're the cardiac cat killers.
Yeah, they beat the Bengals.
The Bengal killers. But then they lose.
They can only beat the Bengals.
And then they lose to the Patriots and the Ravens and the Chiefs in their other 3 games.
Yeah. They can only beat the Bengals, and the Bengals aren't going to be in the playoffs this year. No, I just think that for this team, it's a really good team. Defense is good. Running game is good. What they don't have is the quarterback. And they don't have quarterback, whichever one of these guys start, honestly.
Now, I'm going to ask you this, and this is going to sound like a silly question. The only reason I'm asking this is because John Clayton had an article on ESPN that was basically, what options do the Texans have with Brock Osweiler? Is there a situation where after the season, let's say Tom Savage wins this week, he wins week 16, then he goes on and beats the Titans for week 17.
Gets into the playoffs,
and hey, guess who they're playing this week? The only team that they can beat in the playoffs, the Bengals. So odds are that they'll probably win this week because they always beat the Bengals. And if he wins both these games, he's going to play in the playoffs. Win or lose, what are the odds that Brock Osweiler gets traded in the offseason, or they look to move him because they go, hey, we necessarily don't need Brock. We might have overpaid for him. Let's try to get one of these teams like the Bears or the Jets or one of these suckers who needs a quarterback to overpay for him in a trade.
Who the hell's gonna overpay for Brock Osweiler?
Or to get something out of him.
No, I don't think anybody wants him.
Nobody wants that contract.
That went 14 and 16 for touchdown to interception. 7 to 8 ratio there. That's pretty fucking terrible. His quarterback rating's not abysmal. It's not good. It's a 71. So it's not good, but it certainly could be worse. There's no eyes, or there's nothing that's telling you he's going to do that much better. Honestly, and don't get mad at me, Ricky. If it was a team
he's better than Fitzmagic, though.
Oh, sure. Although Fitzmagic, he's had some success.
10 touchdowns, 15 INTs this year.
Not this year, yeah, no. But don't get mad at me when I say this, but a team like Minnesota, if they didn't have Sam Bradford, that would be a team that can say, hey, we basically are the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
We can take Brock Osweiler and we can work with that.
But we have Sam Bradford.
But you have Sam Bradford. You already fixed that problem.
Plus, we don't have wide receivers for him to throw to. I mean,
yeah, exactly. But there's not an option that really is the Denver Broncos for him to go to. That option really kind of was the Houston Texans, and it's not working there. And the Houston Texans do, in fact, have wide receivers for him to throw the ball to. So, in my eyes, one, nobody's going to want him. And now everyone's going to say, man, that John Elway, he really knew what he was doing, even though he did try and sign Brock Osweiler. It just didn't work out. But they'll say that it's not working. We're not inheriting that contract. The Texans are not going to just cut him. It's not something that's going to happen. Us people here in Chicago know what that's about. When you got a lot of money dedicated to a quarterback, you can't just cut him. That's not how it works. Brock Osweiler is going to be on the roster next year. I think that he starts. Unless Tom Savage goes out there and Tom Brady's it or something and just surprises everybody out there.
Are you saying
he's starting?
Are you saying week 17? Are you saying next season?
No, I'm saying next season. Brock Osweiler will be the starting quarterback.
Yeah, when it comes to this season, as long as Tom Savage is winning,
you ride the hot hands.
Stay the quarterback, but for next season, yeah, I would totally agree with you that you cannot pay a quarterback as much as you paid Brock the Cock and not expect him to start. You can't have that as your backup quarterback.
I really just think it's not even the backup quarterback thing because, Tony Romo's sitting and he gets a lot of money. Matt Flynn got paid in Seattle and Russell Wilson came and took his job.
And then Matt Flynn got cut.
Yeah, he did get cut. But it's one of those situations where I think in the competition, Brock the Cock is going to win over Tom Savage. He will beat him in a one-to-one competition.
Because he's the guy you also signed with. He is the guy we want to be our franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I just think that he's a more talented quarterback. And, I'm not saying that he's Aaron Rodgers, but he is a more talented quarterback than Tom Savage is.
I'm going to throw this at you. Last thing that we'll do to kind of wrap up this segment. Look into your crystal ball. Do the Texans make the playoffs?
No.
Play it out for me. I need a little bit than just yes or no there.
You asked a question and I answered it. No, I do think that they can win against the Bengals because, of course, they can win against the Bengals. What it comes down to is the fact that they're going to have to play the Tennessee Titans, a team
Probably
that is really hot right now. A team that has their quarterback situation figured out. And they also have a great run game, just like Houston's got that solid run game that they have as well. Defense, of course, is better in Houston. But I think that at home, Marcus Mariota can win the battle against quarterback X. He will beat Brock Osweiler. He will beat Tom Savage. I think he will get it done because he kind of has to. Yes, the Houston Texans have beaten the Tennessee Titans before, but this Tennessee Titans team is a lot hotter than they were when they played, what was that, like week 8 or whatever that was, week 7 maybe? It was towards the middle of the season. It is a much different team right now. And I definitely think that they've got enough pieces to get themselves in the playoffs. What they do once they get there, probably not too much, but the Tennessee Titans, I think, will do enough to get in and win the division.
And I'm playing around with the playoff machine. I'm going to say they don't, only because I think that the Titans will win the head-to-head matchup in Week 17. But in order to get the 6th seed at 9-7, let's say they beat the Bengals and then lose to the Titans, what they will need to happen in order to make the playoffs is they would need the Ravens then to lose to the Steelers and the Bengals. Probably might not happen. The Ravens could probably beat the Bengals.
They'll probably win one, yeah.
They would need both the Bills and the Patriots to beat the Dolphins, which that team will probably split because I don't see the Buffalo Bills beating the Miami Dolphins even without Ryan Tannehill. And then they would need the Broncos to lose at least one game, which, I mean, they could lose when they play Kansas City this week, and then they play the Oakland Raiders. So They would need the Broncos to lose one, the Ravens to lose out, and the Dolphins to lose out just to get the 6th seed if they split and go 1-1.
Yeah, they need help.
And,
That's really what it comes down to.
And it's just not going to happen. And it's one of those things where I watch the Titans and what they did against the Chiefs, and I go, there's your AFC South champion. There's the team that wants it more, because I know what you're saying. Texan fans, you're saying, but look, we won a close game too, and Tom Savage brought us back.
Yeah.
You played the Jaguars.
And the Jaguars who had no tape.
The Titans played the Chiefs.
Yep.
Who won the harder game?
Yep.
The Titans.
And now, the Bengals, sure, I'm giving you a win against the Bengals, but the Tennessee Titans will have basically 1.5 games
And it's a home
tape.
game.
Yeah. 1.5 games of tape at home to understand what your quarterback, Tom Savage, is doing. They'll figure it out.
And before I wrap everything up, Mark, is there anything this entire podcast, anything we missed out on that we need to touch?
No, I feel pretty good about what we've talked about. Rex Ryan hasn't been fired yet, but
there's
time.
Apparently, Rex Ryan said, "I don't know his future. You don't know his future. He doesn't know his future. We don't know each other's future." So that was his argument when he was asked about his future in Buffalo.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "No, we know your future.
Yeah.
We know it pretty well. We heard what your future was before the season even started."
Sounds very fourth grade logic, Rex.
You don't know my future. I don't know your future. I don't know her future. You don't know her future. Nobody knows anybody's future.
I'm Band-Aid. I'm rubber.
No
you're
puppet.
glue.
You're the
Whatever
puppet.
you say bounces off of me and sticks to
Yeah.
you, right? That's what they used to say. But this is where you guys let us know down below what you thought of anything we talked about in the podcast today. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to go check out our other segments. If you download the podcast from Blog Talk Radio, thank you for downloading and supporting the channel. And also hit that like and subscribe button and also that follow button on Blog Talk Radio so that you can know when every episode is up, ready for a download. I want to thank you guys for listening to the Onside Kick this week. For Mark Weber, I'm Ricky Widmer. But as always, have a good day, everybody. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that segment from the Onside Kick. If you think the fun stops there, you're wrong, because click the video right over here. What are you thinking? Come on, click it. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. Bye, everybody.